Welcome to First Draft, the show where we take a look at some of the greatest movies never made. Today we're going to take a look at Godzilla, a film they've been trying to make an American remake of for years. They went through several different scripts, but the version that we ended up getting was pretty terrible. Godzilla wakes up, makes his way to New York, hides for most of the movie before he's killed, and then the big climax is chasing around his spawn, these velociraptors, around Madison Square Garden. It was pretty dull and it was pretty unfulfilling. But one of the early versions that got thrown out was pretty amazing. It was written by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, the two guys who are best known for the Pirates of the Caribbean series, but they've also written Aladdin, Small Soldiers, and Puppet Masters. Their version had a much different take. It started out the same way as the version we got, where Godzilla is a big scary monster. But by the end, it's more like the later Toho movies where Godzilla is the hero because he's fighting another monster. In their version, Godzilla is accidentally woken up in the Arctic when some Soviets are trying to excavate some oil tankers. And then some scientists come to examine the body, and some of them are killed. Godzilla disappears. He reappears a few years later, terrorizing the coast of Japan. And eventually, the story makes its way to San Francisco, where Godzilla fights with the Navy and then gets tangled up in the Brooklyn Bridge. Meanwhile, there's another monster. There's an alien probe that comes down, and first it latches on to a colony of bats, which mutate into these giant probe bats, and then it starts attacking locals in a small town, and then eventually it mutates altogether into one giant monster that the script describes as a griffin. There's a lot of talk in between about how this is a legendary fight that stretches back generations from before humanity, with Godzilla as the protector against these other monsters. It's a little convoluted, and I won't go into it right now, but suffice it to say, it all ends up with a huge battle in New York City between the Griffin and Godzilla. And it lasts for 10, 20 pages. They smash through buildings. At one point, Godzilla throws the Griffin into the Twin Towers, knocking them over. They collapse into the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a huge, climactic, epic battle, and it would have been great to see on screen. So why do I think the script is so much better than the version we got? Well, for one, we get the point that the Godzilla movie that we got was trying to do, by having people terrified by a big, scary, giant monster terrorizing the city. We get that within the first act of the film. But that movie forgot, why people love these Godzilla movies is because they like seeing the big green guy fight other monsters. And it's not that Godzilla really is a nice guy. He's not a hero. He just hates other monsters, and it's fun to see them fight. And the other thing that the script really gets right is that it shows us Godzilla right away. It teases us a little bit at the beginning where we just hear his roar or we just see his teeth, but it doesn't spend 40 minutes of the movie doing that the way the version that we got did. And finally, this script just feels much more epic. It spans one coast of the States to the other, and there's huge battles in it. It involves alien races and ancient legends, and it's just a much richer meal. Now, unfortunately, anyone familiar with the Pirates movies will know that Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, sometimes their characters are a little thin, mainly because they have too many of them and they're all spread out all over the story. And it's kind of the case with this script as well. However, it kind of adds to that epic feel because there's so many different characters to follow, so it doesn't really hinder the story that much. That's really the only complaint I have with it. So I definitely suggest you check it out and give it a read. We'll put the link on our site, and let us know what you think.